The guys, but the guy that always gave me the most problems actually was Tracy McGrady.
Tracy McGrady.
Yeah. Tracy McGrady, man. Tracy McGrady with his, he had all the skills and all the athleticism, but he was 6'9".
You just mentioned Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
He works for us. Magic, you say? You couldn't say enough good things about him.
This dude was unbelievable, man.
How so?
Unbelievable. Because he could do everything. I think I told him one time, I said, bro, you could do everything I could do on the court, but you were 6'10". Literally everything. He had no weaknesses, offensively or defensively. And he was a nightmare to guard.
Here's a guy at 6'9" that moved as if he was 6'3", can literally do everything. He could turn left shoulder, he can turn right shoulder, he could score from the post, he could score from the perimeter, he could facilitate, he could defend.
Shot blocked by McGrady.
When you have that combination, it's extremely dangerous.
McGrady sets a franchise record 60.
Tracy McGrady, let's talk about him. Look, we all know when you rank the greatest basketball players of all time, you get factoring a lot of things like accolades, team success, longevity of a career. So we all have an understanding that there's a difference between the greatest players and the best players, especially when you're talking about peak for peak. So that's why I'm starting this series called The Best It Never Was, highlighting the greatness of players that careers either got shortened or they got stifled or they just weren't put in an advantageous situation by being like on a bad team, for example. So we started with volume 1 with Tracy McGrady. We all know about Tracy McGrady. Drafted in 1997, the number 9 overall pick to the Toronto Raptors. The following season, he started playing with his big cousin Vince Carter. He was still coming off the bench as a role player. Played 3 seasons in Toronto, eventually wanted to step out and get his own team, wanted to go back and play for his home team in Orlando in 2000-2001 season. The prior season, he was averaging 15 points per game. He only started about half the games that season. The next season, when he joined Orlando and became the number 1 option, he put up 27 points per game very efficiently while doing it, and he's shown that he is one of the best players in the NBA automatically. He was a first-time All-Star that year, as well as being second team All-NBA this season with the likes of Kobe Bryant, Vince Carter, Kevin Garnett, and Dikembe Mutombo. Tracy McGrady put his name right in the hat of who's the best perimeter player in the NBA. Of course, Allen Iverson won the MVP that season. Kobe Bryant, they won their second championship that season. But everybody understood at that point Tracy McGrady was here and he was too big for Toronto to play under Vince Carter, right? So then you follow with the second season. He continues doing what he's doing individually, and then in 2002-2003, that is where is Tracy McGrady the best player in the NBA talks started to happen. Because when you look at the skill set, he could do literally everything any other perimeter player in the NBA could do, including Kobe Bryant. He could pull up from 3. He had one of the best pull-up threes in the NBA. He really kind of pioneered that style. Kevin Durant has noted the saying that he got influence from Tracy McGrady with his pull-up 3 style. He could drive to the basket. He was one of the best finishers in the NBA. He could pull up in the mid-range. He could post up. He was never known as a defender, but it's kind of hard to be a defender when the offense is fully going through you. He didn't really have the adequate teammates to really step up on the defensive end, but he definitely had the capabilities. He had the athleticism. I think if he was on a better team, he would have played better defense. But if you look at the skill set, you know he was just right there with Kobe Bryant. That's when the talks happened. Who's better, him and Kobe? That's why every time they went against each other, they battled. It was much CTV back in that day, and they guarded each other back in that day. They didn't do what some players do today. They try to avoid and let someone else guard them, and let's guard them for the fourth quarter. No, they'll start when the whistle starts. First quarter to the end, they will guard them, and they had some historic matchups. Tracy McGrady versus Kobe Bryant. With all that being said, if you look at Tracy McGrady's playoff success, all that skill set did not really translate to team success. In 2001, they losing 4 games to the Milwaukee Bucks, led by Ray Allen and Sam Cassell. That team went to the conference finals. It was a very good team. They just were outmatched in that situation. 2002, they lose to the Charlotte Hornets, led by Baron Davis, in 4 games as well. 2003, T-Mac's best season, coming off an MVP caliber season. They have a 3-1 lead against the Detroit Pistons. This is Detroit before they got Rasheed Wallace. Still a great team, but they had a 3-1 lead. T-Mac famously put up over 40 points in back-to-back games in 1 and 2 against that Detroit defense. T-Mac was on one. We really thought T-Mac was going to get out of the first round that year. He thought so too. The 03-04 season was a terrible season. They were 21-61. They did not make the playoffs. T-Mac played 67 games that season. Following year, he gets traded to Houston Rockets and teams up with another best there never was in Yao Ming. Yao Ming was very underrated, very unstoppable when he was at his prime, whenever he was healthy. They lose that season in the first round again to the Dallas Mavericks, where T-Mac went 10 for 26 for 27 points in Game 7. In the following season, in the 05-06 season, Tracy McGrady suffers a serious injury and only plays 47 games. This is when the injuries caught up to Tracy McGrady. He was still a great player after this. They lose to the Utah Jazz in back-to-back postseasons in the first round again. But after the 05-06 season, you just seen the decline of Tracy McGrady happen. By 08, losing to the Utah Jazz again, the young players were taking over the league. The Dwayne Wades, Carmelo Anthony's, LeBron James, Dwight Howard's, Kobe was still at the top of the league. This was pretty much all you wrote for Tracy McGrady. Once again, injuries, team, organizations, whatever situation you're in can really determine the greatness, quote-unquote greatness of a basketball player. Because, look, if Grant Hill stays healthy, just those two alone would have been a great duo. Or if Doc Rivers doesn't fumble Tim Duncan, who was interested in going to Orlando, that would have been a super team right there. And we would have all looked at T-Mac differently. He would have probably been a better defender. He probably would have maybe won a championship with them. See, things like that can just change how we view a basketball player. That's why it's important to look at someone's game and see their abilities. If you're interested in more of these videos, like, comment, subscribe. I got more coming soon.